Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to slice the subscribe button, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, throughout history, creatures have gotten stronger through evolution, but it's quite well known that black cats are incapable of evolving, with none able to achieve such a feat. Flashing back, we learn that Fran's parents had set out to be the very first of their kind to achieve evolution, but sadly they had failed, leaving Fran all alone. But now that she has a teacher, she has set her only mission in life, to achieve what her parents wanted for black cats. Having found a gathering of goblins, Fran shows her teacher her growth, easily dropping the creatures one after the other. Having taught her some magic, our teacher is impressed, noting her rapid growth, both in her magic and swordplay. Seeing her grow, our MC can't help but shed tears of joy, wanting to dedicate his life to help her out, but suddenly Fran picks him up, rushing off, as our MC questions what she is doing. Cutting to a traveling merchant, we see his cart is swarmed by goblins, beginning to close in on his goods. Before the goblins can cause any harm, Fran intervenes, slaying some of the creatures, whilst our MC emits a bright light, to scare off the remaining swarm. As some men come out of the carriage, our MC tells Fran to keep the fact that her sword can talk a secret, as our MC is using telepathy to communicate with her. As one of the men thanks Fran for the help, he offers to give her a ride, but our MC knows that they are asking for her protection on their journey. Accepting their request, Fran learns about the increase of monsters near the main roads, as greater creatures deeper in the forest have been scaring the lower-tier monsters out of the forest, and onto human-made roads. Realizing that it may be his doing, our MC continues to listen to the man, learning that a powerful S-rank creature had been slain in the past, but its mana still lingers, causing other creatures to spawn. Changing topics, Fran asks if the man has heard of a mysterious sword in the forest, trying to learn how our MC came to be, but sadly the man has never heard of such a thing. Bringing up how the goblins were likely G rank, the man compliments Fran, stating that she must be at least F rank. Wondering what he's talking about, the man explains that in this world, there are humans that are tasked with slaying creatures. The most dangerous of creatures are classified as rank S, whereas the weakest are classified as rank G. This is the same for adventurers. Wondering how she can become one, she learns that she must apply at a guild, which makes Fran grow excited, learning that she can earn money and eat delicious food. Cuddling our MC admires her childlike tendencies, whilst also able to train effortlessly to grow stronger. Having made it to the city of Alessa, Fran and our MC begin scouting the city, noting the countless people here. Seeing as they should head to the guild first, our MC begins inspecting other adventurers' swords, but grows depressed seeing as their weapons have a higher and rarer abilities compared to himself. But Fran cheers him up, showering him with praises, which only makes our MC want to help Fran even more. In the Adventurers Guild, the receptionist Nell greets Fran, noting her tiny stature. When Fran asks if she can register, Nell thinks about how small she is, warning Fran that adventuring is dangerous and that she must first pass a test. Accepting, Nell is surprised, but brings her to the examiner, Donadrand, an ogre. Immediately activating his intimidation skill, Donadrand begins the first test, which Fran passes, having remained calm. Knowing that Donadrand is Fran's most powerful opponent to date, our MC scans Donadrand, realizing his immense physical strength, but Fran still chooses to fight. With Nell starting the fight, Donadrand immediately pounces on Fran, forcing her to jump into the air, to avoid it. But Donadrand follows up, chasing and slashing at Fran, forcing her to continuously dodge and parry the blows. Knowing that Donadrand is too strong, our MC gives Fran some advice, whilst casting a spell to increase Fran's speed and strength. Meeting Donadrand head-on, Fran manages to get a cut in, but Donadrand simply begins regenerating. Fired up, Fran lays down a heavy slash, distracting Donadrand long enough to allow our MC to cast an earth-binding spell, and shoot several fireballs. Bouncing off the wall, Fran ignites her blade, blasting Donadrand through the walls of the building. Seeing Fran cast spells without an incantation, along with her movement, Nell realizes that Fran is on par with other elite adventurers. Having defeated the examiner, Fran is brought to Klimt, the guild master, who begins questioning Fran on her amazing feats at such a young age. Instructed to keep her lips sealed, The guild master attempts to inspect her abilities, but our MC is able to nullify such an ability. Knowing that he can't dig any deeper, Klimt states that Fran is not scaring off his spirits, so he has no issues with her. Scanning Klimt, our MC notes Klimt's mastery of spirits, only for Klimt to issue Fran her adventure license. Asked to register her signature on a crystal, Nell asks about what class Fran would like to choose, shocked that Fran can choose from countless classes. As our MC tells Fran to choose the spellsword class, able to fight with both her sword and magic, Fran is given her license, proudly showing it off. Heading back to the reception table, Fran asks to sell some of her goods, which Nell is happy to trade for gold. Whipping out some mid-tier monsters, Nell and other adventurers are shocked to see so many corpses, nicely butchered and preserved. Awarded 195,000 gold pieces, our MC realizes that they'll be rich in no time. As Fran heads to pick out a room for the night, some nosy adventurers attempt to get her attention, but our MC instructs Fran to ignore them. Surrounding her, the adventurers demand that Fran hand over some of her earnings, believing that they had been unfairly given less gold for the same monsters slain. But Nell steps in, stating that the adventurers were fairly given what they deserved. As compared to Fran, they had crushed and badly destroyed the monster corpse, which lowers the corpse's value. Before the adventurers can attack Nell, Fran steps in, forcing the adventurers to surround Fran. Beginning to insult Fran and her species, Fran suddenly cuts off one of the adventurers' legs, shocking everyone, having done it so quickly. Following up, Fran strikes, cuts and knocks down the remaining men, surprising our MC, as Fran had combined and figured out some skills, all by herself. Demanding that Fran be locked up, Nell steps in, stating that the men will be the ones in trouble, giving the men a petrifying glare. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and comment.